Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's performance is about to begin.
Welcome to Speaking Freedom TV's Journey to Freedom show. Today we have a special guest, and of course, I'm your host, Dr. Kaci. Our special guest today is Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Kaci, thanks for inviting me on. Yeah, it says Jonathan. If people can see this on the video version, they may see that it says Jonathan brackets Alex Smith Royle. And the reason for that is my birth name is Alex William Smith. However, my business name, stage name, performance name, alter ego, call it what you will, is Jonathan Royle. And the main reason for that is that when I'm getting introduced at live events, I used to go under Alex Smith, but when a compere introduces you, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Alex Smith. Smith, it's a bit flat. Whereas, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jonathan Royle. It psychologically it sounds better. And that's it, really. So just to get that one out of the way, although I've had many names over the years, because I was born on the 13th of August, 1975, into a show business family whilst my parents were travelling with the circus. So at the age of 3, an English one called Gandhi's Circus. And at the age of 3 and a bit in December, well, not December, it was more like November 1978, I made my performance debut as Britain's youngest paid circus clown, Flap the Clown. So I've had various names over the years for different.
So wait a minute, but before you continue on, do you have any videos you can send me of Flap the Clown?
If people go on my website, magicalguru.co.uk, there's nothing for sale there. All that domain name will take you to is my career resume. And on that page, there are photographs of me, embarrassingly, at different ages as Flap the Clown when I was young. And there's also a link to a TV appearance I made, but that was when I was 8. The videos when I was 8, but the photos go back to me being 3 and 4 years old. And they're all on magicalguru.co.uk for anyone who wants to, well, frankly, have a laugh. How ridiculous I had a big grey wig, big red nose, the clown's makeup, glasses. It just, well, it looked ridiculous, but it was meant to.
I mean, but you're at 8 years old, that's appropriate.
Well, it started at 3 and a bit, and I kept doing it until I was about 9, and then I refused.
But as a child, I think that's appropriate. I think that would be a fun little experience.
You'd think that, wouldn't you? And I suppose in many ways it was, other than it was all right when we were traveling with the circus, because obviously I was growing up around other kids that were from the circus who understood the lifestyle and the background. But my mum, who didn't come from a show business background, by the time I was about 6, wanted me to go to a normal, whatever normal means, school, and not be traveling town to town. So we did actually get a house when I was about 6, stay in one place. My dad continued traveling with the circus, and I'd just go at weekends or school holidays or in the evenings if the show was near enough by to perform. But I started going to one fixed school, and because I was appearing in the media and stuff, as you can see at that website address I gave before, I started getting bullied and persecuted by the teachers.
Oh, really?
And I did say teachers. I didn't slip it. It was the teachers at that school. And I don't know if it's because they perceived the fact that, with what it was saying in the media, that I was earning more per hour than they did, which was kind of false logic, because obviously I wasn't working as many hours as them. It was just that show business being what it is, when I did work, it seemed like a massive hourly rate. Or if it was just the fact that I was getting media attention. But in any event, they make my life, frankly, a living hell. To the point where I begged my mum, I wanted to go to another school, different school. The trouble was there wasn't any other schools in that village or nearby. And it took until I was near enough 8 best part of 2 years till we were able to move house to a different town, find a different school to go to. And I'm delighted to say the teachers there were fantastic. However, the bullying started from kids.
Oh.
Not just because I was the circus clown and the clown's son, but also well, you can't tell on here, but if you go on that website, magicalguru.co.uk, you'll see pictures of me when I was younger, when I didn't shave all my hair off.
Mm-hmm.
And I have naturally ginger hair, which was another target for bullying.
Right.
I haven't got it in because I've got earphones in to be able to hear you on this, but I do normally have a hearing aid on my left ear because my hearing got knackered when I was a young age for various reasons, one of which at the age of 4, I was playing hide and seek on the circus and I hid under what I didn't realise was the lion tamer's caravan, and chained up underneath was a puma, wild cat, that started to play with this little child that had just crawled underneath, which was me. And the result was, before, fortunately, I got saved, because otherwise I may not have been here. But before I was, my ear had got ripped off, and I've got claw mark scars on my head and my back. And, you know, it affected my hearing as well.
Wow. Well, one, I am sorry that happened to you, because I would have never imagined the dangers of being in a circus as a child.
Well, I clearly didn't either. That was the first of traumatic experiences. When I was nearly 5, again, traveling with the circus, and in England, there's a tea that you drink company called Brook Bond Tea. And they have a brand of tea called PG Tips. That's P for Polly, G for Green Tips. And in the 70s and 80s in England, they had these TV adverts where chimpanzees dressed up as humans that they dubbed voices over were drinking tea, and it was advertising for them. But these chimpanzees came and performed one season with Gandhi's circus. And when they'd finished doing their act, they get taken back to the kind of dressing room area by the trainer, Billy Day. And at exactly the time that they were making their way back to the dressing room, my dad and me were making our way to the ring doors, or if we were in the circus, or the wings at the side of the stage when we were doing the show in theatres. Mm-hmm. And our paths would cross. And this would happen twice a day, 6 days a week. But our paths would cross, and my dad would turn and go, "You all right, Billy?" And Billy Day, the chimpanzee trainer, turned, "You all right, Tiz?" Because he was Tizzy the clown, I was Flap the clown. And in that very moment, that very second, that they were saying hello to each other and weren't paying attention, in that moment, whichever of the chimpanzees was holding Billy's hands that was nearest to me would whack me around the side of the head.
Oh my God.
In a mischievous manner. Now, I've learned since that it clearly wasn't being aggressive, because apparently they've got enough strength that if it was being aggressive, it'd have probably knocked me unconscious. Mm-hmm. It probably just that I was a 4 or 5-year-old clown and probably roughly the same height as the chimp, and apparently was just being playful. But that happened twice a day, 6 days a week.
Whoa, you got slapped 6 days a week?
2 shows a day we had, 6 days a week, and this happened every single bloody show.
So why didn't they put you on the other side of your dad?
But he never spotted it. He never spotted it. I know. Madness. So these things happen.
Wait. Did you feel bullied by the chimpanzee?
Well, apparently I would every day go, "Dad, he's done it again. It's done it again." So yeah, I suppose the only way of putting it is I was getting bullied by the chimpanzees at the age of
I don't know if I'm supposed to be laughing right now.
You've got to laugh. I have to laugh about it now, otherwise I'd probably cry or something.
Right.
So I was bullied by chimpanzees. Then I went to a normal school, got bullied by the teachers. Then we shifted school and I got bullied by the kids. And then things got so bad that by the time I was 12, I it had such a negative effect on me, the daily verbal onslaughts, and then changing to secondary school, high school, it turned into daily physical attacks and bullying. That one day in wintertime, fall, that time of year, I decided I was going to end it all, and lay down in the middle of Queen's Park Road, one of the busiest roads in Haywood, figuring that it would be dark and, without being too graphic, that everything would be over and done with in next to no time. But bizarrely, God knows what happened, but I lay down in the road and no traffic seemed to come. And I lay there for what seemed like forever. It was probably only a matter of 30 seconds, a minute. I really don't know. Because, you know, now I've learned since that time's relative. You know, you can bump into a friend you've not seen for years, go for a coffee, think you've been talking for 10, 15 minutes, then look at your watch and realize you've been there for 2 hours. Yeah. And the other way, like you could have a job appraisal at work with your boss, go in, think you've been in there an hour, come out, and it's actually only been 5 or 10 minutes. So time's a perceptional thing, but it seemed like ages, so much that I gave up and I stood up and made my way back to the sidewalk, the pavement. And the moment I put my foot on the pavement sidewalk, I suddenly heard this whoosh, and I felt this backdraft, and I turned my head slightly and I saw a big articulated lorry truck had just speeded past, followed by another truck, followed by cars, and it was back to being the busy, massively dangerous main road. And in that moment, excuse the language, everyone, but it's the only way to describe it, I shit myself. And I thought, whoa, that was dangerously close. But also I had a moment of clarity in that moment, where I in later years, discovered, and it's a lot easier to do now in internet years. This is going back to like 1987-ish. I would have been 12. But I've discovered since people who tried to end it all by jumping out of or off multi-story buildings, quite a number of them have survived, albeit with life-changing injuries sometimes. And they've all consistently said one thing, the survivors, that they felt like they needed to end it all because there were so many things going on they couldn't take anymore. They thought they had numerous problems. But the moment that they jumped out of or off the building and they're moving towards the floor, they realized they only had one problem, the fact that they just jumped off the building.
Right.
And it kind of gives you kind of a moment of clarity of there must be a better way of sorting this out and getting over this. I'm going to say it again, getting over this shit. And the reason I say that again is because, or two reasons. One, because that's what I ended up calling my book. And it's not as flippant as it sounds, because people in everyday life talk about having had a shit day or there's loads of shit going on. Hence, the subtitles helping you get over the shit in your life and get your shit together, because it's a term that people use in everyday life. And that day, in that moment, I thought there's got to be a better way to deal with this shit. And that started a path that ultimately led me to, by the time I was 14, so 2 years, by 1989, I'd become the youngest ever certified clinical hypnotherapist member of the Association of Professional Hypnotherapists and Psychotherapists here in England, which in later years, because I was so impressed by the course, now I was able to use elements of it to help myself. Eventually, ironically, I didn't use it on myself straight away. I started helping other people overcome habits, addictions, fears, and phobias. But me, I didn't do the obvious thing of using it on myself. And as a consequence, I ended up with cocaine addiction, cannabis addiction, alcohol addictions. The negativity I'd not dealt with on myself manifested itself in many different ways. I'm busy helping people get over similar things in their lives, and it's working fantastically. But the obvious route of sorting myself out, I took my eye off the ball. And it wasn't until I was kind of 19, around that I suddenly woke up one day and thought, what's going on here? You're spending money on this, that, the other. None of it's good for you. and you've got the tools staring you in the face to overcome these things. Why? What's going on? You need to deal with those things that are in what I call the personal laptop computer, the unconscious, subconscious mind, those negatives and the traumas. You need to deal with them, be able to let them go and move on so that you can say goodbye to those negative addictions and habits. And eventually I did, thankfully. Why I didn't do it sooner, well, perhaps it just wasn't the right. I don't know. I have no explanation for that. I have no excuses. All I know is that eventually, by the time I was 20, I had overcome those things. And I've continued ever since to kind of almost like some evangelical preacher spread the word that there are simple, safe, effective ways that people can reprogram that laptop computer to say goodbye to the fears, frustrations, failures, angers, anguish, anxiety, resentment, regrets, remorse, and turn that into forgiveness, acceptance, realization, release that enables you to reframe and reprogram that metaphorical. I know it's not really a computer, but if you imagine it as being a computer.
Okay, so wait.
Yeah.
So just a small break. I had a vision. It was like I was not totally asleep, but I wasn't fully awake. But in that area that I was, what I saw was myself, like a little version of myself inside of me, like looking out.
Okay,
and it was
yeah.
like have you seen that show? I mean, that movie Little Dave with Eddie Murphy?
Yeah, it rings a bell.
So
Yeah.
but it felt like it was like a computer rise type of thing. So when you say a little computer back there, it doesn't seem far-fetched from me the way the
Well,
soul
a lot of people
was
can
moving the
relate to it.
body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just I can't give you cast iron proof. That's why I'm saying it's a
Right.
metaphor. But a lot of people can relate to it, and in my experience, it's pretty close to the truth. Certainly, if you don't take the time to use certain processes to kind of clean up the hard drives of your laptop computer, to get rid of the negatives and the traumas from childhood, they're still going to be running, and they are going to hold you back on manifest in negative things in adult life. So yeah, we do processes that enable us to go in, delete the negative energies and emotions and energies and side effects, and effectively install mental antivirus software, is the way I kind of say it, so that can run to protect your unconscious, subconscious, to stop any other shit getting past. Can we have a kind of domain of the mind? Some people call it the critical faculty, some call it the analytical area, others call it the executive function. Whatever you call it, all theories seem to say that it doesn't really come into play until around teenage years, around puberty. So before then, there's nothing to stop the crap getting in. Everything's getting in. We're like sponges. Everything's getting in, positive and negative. And the thing is, things that we now as adults would laugh at and go, that couldn't possibly have a negative impact on us now, actually does have a negative impact on us now, because although it happened, say, when we were 3 or 4 or whatever age, leading up and to and including around puberty, before the executive function starts doing its job, what we perceive now is not the way it would have been perceived or experienced as a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, or 5-year-old. The example I usually give is this. If I was to say to you now that as a 3-year-old, you know, an experience at a party where maybe you were playing with a balloon, and then accidentally an adult knocked you and you fell over onto the balloon and it burst, you started crying. What, to the adult's perception, the loud noise and the balloon bursting caused you to cry? Maybe not. To them, that, you know, it might seem daft that right now that could still be having a manifestation in your adult life. But here's the thing. to the 3-year-old you in that moment, that may not have been a balloon, because our imaginations turn things to reality as kids. That could have been a magic fairy castle. And you could have been in the moment playing some game. This is your magic fairy castle. So it's not a balloon that's just been destroyed. It's your magic fairy kingdom castle and all the little fairies. To the 3-year-old in that moment, that is as a traumatic, emotionally traumatic. To the 3-year-old, the imprint it makes onto that hard drive is as traumatic as it would be to an adult now losing a loved one or family member in a car crash.
Definitely.
And when you consider that, and the fact that we have what I call these mini traumas, tons of them from birth to teenage years, things that as adults we go, that couldn't affect us, a burst balloon, a teacher just saying, stop being silly, or, oh, you must try harder, oh, that wasn't good enough. Things that seem on their own, totally, that could have no effect. But in the moment, as the 3-year-old, the 4-year-old, the 5-year-old, the 8-year-old, at the emotional level we were then, the traumatic imprint of those things layers on top of each other, and there's tons, hundreds of them on that hard drive. Now, it's not that my techniques in this book are going to show you how to go in there and delete them all. That's not how the mind works. The memories remain there, but what you can do is kind of break that, because it's frozen in time, that emotional intensity. What you can do is break the seal kind of thing, so that the emotions released, and I don't mean you end up crying your eyes out or anything. There's no need for that. There's no need to, what I call, mind rape people to have them relive past traumas. This can be done in a gentle, calm and safe manner, but where it releases the connection. So the memories are still there, but they're not negatively emotionally charged.
See,
so
and
they can't manifest negatively.
What I tell people is that if you learn the lesson in whatever that negative experience was, it will flip the switch for how you see it. So now you won't see it as painful as this painful, oh my God, experience. So now it's like, no, this is what I learned from that. And it can be a more, it might not make all of that negative emotion go away. This is where your thing kicks in. And then, but if you begin to reshape the ideal of it, then you will feel it and experience it in a different way, and then add on your concept, and now you can kind of sift out the rest of the negative emotions.
Yeah, I mean, the one key thing is that if you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting the same results. If you do nothing at all, things are going to remain as they are. So doing anything, making any change consistently with repetition and positive intent will give some degree of positive change, because you're doing something different. But it may not be a full, total disconnect. Whereas some of the techniques in hypnosis, and it's not just on the print.
Hi, I'm Dr. Kaci, not your typical clinical doctor. I am an ordained minister, but not your typical minister. I am also a certified life coach, love coach, sex coach, solution focused coach, transformation coach, and more. I have a whole lot of information that I would like to help you grow with. And I hope that soon I can help you be the best you that you can be. Confidence, spirituality, and purpose. That's wholeness, complete.
Page, by the way, there's these things, QR codes in there that people can scan, and it takes them to online videos to talk them through the different processes and guide them through it. Because the unconscious, subconscious mind, personal neck-top computer, call it what you will, works in abstract images. And we know this because when we have dreams, we have often crazy, weird dreams. If we do remember. Well, that's because that's the way the brain processes things in an abstract manner. So the mode of communication for the unconscious, subconscious is to communicate in abstract, bizarre, over the top, often outlandish imagery and imaginary processes. And that's
So-
what hypnosis is full of, techniques to trigger those things.
I got another question, and I apologize
Yeah, please
that
do.
I keep interrupting.
I know you're all right. Go on. Please do. Please do.
So what would you say for a person that actually has dreams that actually like manifest or come true over time, like that is a visionary or prophetic within their dream space?
Everybody arguably is, in so much as it's not a psychic ability, it's just a case of you get more of what you focus on in life. So if you've had a dream,
I'm talking about not that is related to you, like where you dream about things that have to do with complete strangers, other people that happen to come true.
Largely, when those things are examined, largely it turns out that coincidences happen. Simple as that. Firstly, elements of things are coincidences. Other elements are probabilities. If you look at things, it's not that unusual that a disaster will happen at certain times of the year. People are aware of more than they're consciously aware of. So people of a certain age will already have heard, say, you know, a 15-year-old has already had 15 years on the planet, 15 years of experiencing hearing news programs, and therefore at an unconscious level, taking in information that's retained and knowing without being consciously aware that there are certain times of year where certain natural disasters are more likely to happen.
Okay, so let me reshape my question. So, for example, if somebody has a dream that somebody is going to pass away, or somebody dies or plays out a specific course, and then something bad happens at the end, and it actually plays out like that years later, you might not have told that person. They may not even know that you had this dream like this, but the dream occurred and then the same exact incident happened in real life.
It's highly unlikely that that's ever going to have happened. People might think it has.
No, that has happened. I can pull up a text message where
No. The person, the person may believe that has happened, and it may have felt like that to them, not denying that. But here's the thing. If you think about something that happened last week, the fact is what you remember has very little basis in reality. The human mind is not, doesn't take photograph. It's not like a video recording. Every time you recall something, your mind naturally distorts and embellishes. Yes, it is.
Okay, so I'm speaking.
It's completely true. The world's top psychologist will tell you that is true.
So I've studied psychology.
Reconstructed and false. Well, you've not studied it in the past couple of years, then.
Listen to me for a second.
Reconstructed memory. When did you last study that?
Hold on for a second and listen, because you're not wanting to listen. I study psychology. I am an active studier of human behavior and psychology. I personally have had several dreams that had
when did you last study reconstructed memory then?
Listen to what I'm saying. Okay.
I will do, but just answer the question. When did you last study Answer the question. When did you last study reconstructed memory?
You're not listening.
I'm more than happy to listen when you tell me.
You're not listening. You're not even letting me finish.
Why won't you answer the question?
I'm not answering the question, sir.
Why won't you?
Because you didn't let me finish talking.
Is that because you can't answer the question? Because if you did, the only way you could answer that, if you were being honest, if you have studied reconstructed memory and you've done it any time in the past couple of years, you would know the latest findings are that no memories
based on what are those studies based on? First off, you don't know my history, my family history, or the narrative of which I've had several dreams that have happened verbatim, years, months, weeks, and even more. No,
You think they have.
Listen,
In your
listen,
experience,
listen,
experience, they have, but they haven't, because what you remember is not a true remembrance of what
you cannot
dream.
tell me
Because
what. That's not true. The studies.
I can, because just go on Google Scholar.
Sir,
go on Google Scholar, type reconstructed
Google
memory.
Google Scholar is not going to consider what I've experienced, because Google Scholar is not me. You can go and you can talk to people that don't have these type of experiences, and they will always talk against what they've never done or they've never experienced.
I've had experiences.
Listen,
I've had dreams where the stuff happens in future.
Stop.
It happens, but it doesn't happen for the reason you think.
Stop. This is still the Speaking Freedom Show, so let me speak, okay? Because this is not based on hearsay. This is based on things that I've had experienced several times.
Yeah, you felt it. You've experienced it.
On repetitive basis, things that I could never know, that I could.
But that doesn't make your perception wrong or right, does it?
No,
you may have experienced it. You've experienced it and felt it, but the reason it happened isn't because you have some psychic ability or prophetic.
Right.
If you think that, I really would advise you to go to the Magic Circle London HQ in England and claim their £100,000 prize if you can prove that. The Skeptic Society, I believe, offer $1 million if you could prove.
The difference between
you can't.
You is I am not looking to be validated by anybody, because I know my experience. The people that I've told,
you have a belief, and that's fine.
It's not a belief.
People believe in God, but he doesn't exist.
Listen, you are missing it, because one, everything in life is connected. We are all connected. So the perception of me being able to see something that will or may happen, determining based on the person playing out what is going to happen, you can't. That's not something that can be scientifically proven. You will never be able to say exactly what the science is behind that, because it's spirit.
Actually, it can.
Psychology does not determine the spiritual nature of world.
Just a minute, Kaci, with respect, when did you last study the likes of Dean Rankin, the scientist who does indeed do studies into what he calls real magic, and has a book of the same name, Real Magic, by Dr. Dean Rankin?
We're not
That's
talking
one
about
of his many
magic.
books.
We're talking about the nature of spirit.
That's the name. No. Call it spirit, call it what you want.
Okay.
Supernatural, spiritual, whatever bloody name you want to give it. It's that which is outside of the remit of conventional science, or at least it was until recent years. Because in recent years, people like Dr. Dean Rankin has started doing studies and proving and disproving various things, including getting evidence that some people may have, not definitely do have, but may have, requiring further study, what is labelled as psi, PSI, psi abilities, which is the area into which prophetic dreams would fall under, which is why I ask you whether or not you've studied the likes of Dr. Dean Rankin and other scientists who have actually done the studies in recent years on prophetic dreams and the validity of them or not.
I don't need that study to know what I've experienced. The study is
just a minute. You think what you feel?
Listen.
What you feel is imaginary. It's not real.
You think that it's an imagined experience, but when people can testify and speak to the very thing that I said happening the very way that I said it,
people can testify Jesus Christ himself has spoken to them, but they're either mentally ill, deceiving themselves.
I'm not talking about a hypothetical. I'm not talking about an imaginary thing. I'm not talking about illusionary. I say it happens. I've seen it in dreams. It happens the exact way without the people knowing exactly what I said would happen.
Well, there you go. Coincidences happen now and again.
A person doesn't kill themselves in a garage, and I see them go in the garage and every single thing that led up to it, and then you say it's a coincidence. Those type of things are not coincidences.
Those types of things do happen statistically.
but it's not a coincidence when the specific
You don't
person
want to
Lord.
accept
Okay,
that it could be a coincidence.
So what do you do?
Because that would make you
outside
feel
of
less
your book?
special, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't need that to feel special. I thought everybody had those dreams, and a lot of people do have dreams and they wave it off. But there are people that do have different, unique abilities that other people do not have.
There is nobody on this planet who has prophetic dreams who can prove it under proper testing. There is nobody on this planet who has so-called psiability who can prove it.
What's proper
the testing is laid out by the likes of the Skeptic Society.
What is the proper testing?
Well, that would depend on which ability was being tested.
No,
every ability has different tests.
Tell me what the tests are. What are the tests to measure spiritual things? Tell me what that test is.
Well, given that you've clearly not studied the likes of Dr. Dean Rankin,
what are the tests?
You've clearly
know so much.
Answer. Well, Kaci, either
right,
one or two. Kaci, one or two things is going to happen right now. Either A, you're going to answer these three questions.
Who are you to give an ultimatum, sir? You are on my show. I tell you what the fuck go on here. Or you can end it. You can leave if you want to. It doesn't matter.
I could. Or you can either answer these questions. The fact is, it is. But you sat there talking bullshit. And I hope you've got the balls to put this out.
You mad because I can prove what the fuck you saying is just
no,
inaccurate.
You can't. You're either mentally deluded
I can prove it.
You're deceiving yourself. No, you can't. That's hearsay. That is not scientifically acceptable evidence.
That I said that happened verbatim. I can call 5 people right now.
That is not scientific evidence. That is not proof. That is hearsay.
This is what makes you stupid. And I ain't never called nobody stupid on this show. This is the first time. This is what makes you stupid.
I'll tell you what.
You think that science is the basis for everything that exists. You think that science is the basis for everything that exists, and it's not. Everything won't be able to be proven scientifically because that's not the way of the world. There are things beyond the bounds of science that exist in this world.
Funny that, actually, because the thing is, science can prove or disprove pretty much everything, including that. There was originally thought, just a minute, developments have been made. You've clearly never, you've not studied epigenetics either, have you?
What else do you do? What else do you do?
Just a minute. I bet you've never studied the science of epigenetics either, have you?
What else do you do? What else do you do?
What I do, I debunk psychic frauds and people who are either mentally ill or psychologically deluded.
Wait a minute. Who is a psychic fraud?
There's tons of them out there. People who claim to communicate with the dead and take money off people. Just one of many examples.
I don't take money from people, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I didn't say
about that. This show is.
You asked me, what do I do outside of the realms of my book? Well, one of the things I do is expose frauds.
Okay.
One of the many things I do.
How do you expose frauds?
Well, that would depend what their fraudulent activity was. But with spiritualist mediums, for example.
How did this bring you freedom? How did writing that book and exposing frauds bring you freedom? Because you sound a little tense. You'd have been bullied all your life. Your parents was clowns. You was a clown. You got bullied, and now you over here, and you kind of aggressive. I felt sorry for you for a minute, and then you got aggressive. So how
aggressive? Because you won't answer simple questions. You clearly don't know what you're talking about. You've never studied epigenetics, have you? No. You don't even know who Dean Rankin is, so you've clearly not studied the area of science that is looking into psiability. You don't know anything about reconstructed memory and the fact that your memories and feelings are illusionary. And you're not prepared to accept the fact that you cannot prove.
You red and mad. Ooh, you hot. You hot. You hot, your body overheating, you're sweating.
I don't suffer fools gladly. Please broadcast this. I'm bringing it to an end, but please make it public. You are mentally deluded. You sound like a
motherfucking fool. So, just to be specific, he does what is called, he said he do hypnosis. He hypnotizes people and help them change their behavior. That's what this is. Oh fucking God, that shit was so funny. So, on today's episode of Journey to Freedom, that was Jonathan, who goes by Alex, who goes by like 4 or 5 other names, and he just stated that I guess what he does is help unearth frauds. He said that, he started off with there's a computer chip in the back of your mind. And although he can't prove the computer chip in the back of your mind, and I'm trying to relate because, I be having little, So it went from that to, so then he started talking about the dreams and things. And then he's like, so I'm like, you heard the show. This nigga got mad. He was real upset. He was really upset when I was like, well, I know people. Listen, this has been my first crazy episode, but I am sure it will not be my motherfucking last. That has been crazy. I cannot believe that motherfucking shit just happened. But the show must go on. This will air in order because it is not just about the good shows. It's not just about the pleasant guests, but it's about even the unpleasant experiences. And because this is a live and unedited show, there was a time where I did need to correct the respect level that was given on my show. You cannot come on my show and then think that you're going to yell, that you're going to try to fuss, even over talk, or be dominant in the show. This is my show. I control Speaking Freedom TV, Journey to Freedom, and every other show that is on. If you saw that man, he got red and mad because I am telling him from my experience the things that I've seen, and it is making him upset because he feels like, I don't know, I guess he feels like I charge people for something, or I don't know. He started talking about pride and shit. Like, bitch, who the fuck you a pride? What's pride going on? That is the reason why I refuse to label myself as psychic, why I refuse to try to use my spiritual gifts to make money off of people, to profit in any way, or to advance me as a person. This is the reason. He is an example of the reasons of why I move the way I do and I feel the way I feel when it comes to what I do spiritually and the real authenticity of everything that it is. Whew, that was fun. I really liked that. Like, he was really like, and then he got upset. Y'all saw how he was, and I had to tell him, this my motherfucking show. This is Speaking Freedom TV. So you gonna let me motherfucking speak and you gonna shut the fuck up, okay? Don't think that because I'm a life coach, that I am a love advocate, that I'm an ordained minister and all these things. Please do not think that you're going to be able to come on my shit and run shit, because that's not how it goes. Like, that's not the way love goes over here, okay? So, again, I want to not even apologize for this nigga because one thing that I know for sure is that you cannot use scientific means to determine spiritual things, because the spirit world is not quantifiable on any level of nature. And of course, there will be someone that will try to doubt you if you have a spiritual gift, someone that is not spiritual, as we know that melanated people are normally more spiritual than others. So there will be people that may not have spiritual gifts. You talking about a nigga that was bullied by a motherfucking chimp, a chimpanzee, let's be specific. Got smacked around and beat up and all of those other things. Of course, he probably doesn't believe in God or spiritual power, because he would have angst on why he was able to be bullied, why his parents made the decisions that they made that led him in a position that left him where he was wounded by a damn whatever the fuck he said, scratched him up and made him halfway deaf or whatever the case may be. I wish that man nothing but the best. But what you're not gonna do is come over here and then you go run some. And of course, I don't care about people not believing in spiritual things, but it's no way that you believe in hypnosis on any level and then try to deflect or diffuse the godly communication because you may not have that communication. And there is a level of God in us all, which makes us all connected. That means that at any time there may be a connection where somebody might be able to speak into your life, that somebody might see some things for you that's coming. Now, the thing is, when it comes to spiritual things, when it comes to dreams, prophecy, and all of those things, two things. One, somebody should be confirming to you. Somebody should be confirming to you the things that God already told you. It should not be something new, crazy, or anything like that. Two, a very, very big two. It should be them telling you something that is along the lines of what it is that God has told you and where God is leading you. Whenever I speak into somebody's life, whatever I see, it's not a definite, it's a possibility based on the decisions that you take. It will take you to where either you're going to flourish and experience whatever it is that you're supposed to experience. I don't always see bad things. I also see great things. I also see careers launching and flourishing. I am very perceptive and intuitive in a lot of different areas. So whatever you experience in your life, whenever you talk to somebody that's intuitive, and this is why I don't like when people try to sell their gift, because you cannot guarantee something will happen. The only thing that you can guarantee is that they will come to a crossroads where they will experience something in the realm of something that you've stated. And then they will have to make a decision. Will I go towards what was told to me, or will I go away from what was told to me? And if you decide to go towards what was told for you, towards was this way. If you decide to go towards what was told to you, then you will definitely experience something within that nature and realm. If you decide to go away from what was told to you, then you will experience something relatively similar, but on a different level or layer of experience based on the choices and the decisions that you make along those paths. So, for all of my spiritually intuitive people, because I know that you are in alignment and in tune with your spiritual assignment, you need to know that if a person is not spiritual, if they've never experienced God firsthand, they could never believe what you're capable of or how God could use you. And no, nobody is super normal or, like a spirit. We're all spiritual beings that have a soul in this physical body, but nobody is superhuman or above anything or anybody else. We are all given spiritual gifts. That is, there's something that you do naturally that's better than other people. There's something that you do physically, and that spiritual gift could be a physical gift. It's not just all, spiritually prophetic or, something that is, it could be your voice, could be your spiritual gift. Your ability to focus could be your spiritual gift. Your ability to be good with your hands, fixing stuff, drawing, all of those things are spiritual gifts. Please do not think that the only spiritual gift is prophecy, talking to God and all of that. And for every person, their spiritual experience will be different. So please, when you listen to this episode, if you make it to the end, do not allow that person to make you feel less than who you are. a lot of what we have in society when it comes to spirituality, and the acceptance of one spiritual concept over another, is your ability to accept who you are as a person, and who you were destined to be. So what I will say in closing is tap into the best version of you. Your spiritual gift may manifest differently than somebody else's. Everybody will not be prophetic. Everybody will not have dreams because everybody isn't equipped the same way. Some people are smarter than others. Based on his logic, then everybody should have the same level of intellect, and that's not the truth. So people with a different level of intellectual understanding will be able to see, understand, and hear things that somebody else may not be able to experience, see, or hear. And as spiritual people in this physical world, we have to understand and accept when other people aren't spiritually where we are, to have that level of understanding. And that today is Journey to Freedom. This has been a crazy ass show. I never expected that I would get on here with somebody that does hypnotizing and they would try to act like other things can't be real. Have a good day, everybody.
Hi, I'm Kaci, Dr. Kaci. Welcome to Speaking Freedom. We are happy to have you, and we hope that we're able to help you in every way possible. Have a good evening. If you've enjoyed this video, like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. New episode every Friday.